Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to this special tribute to HRH Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, who sadly died suddenly yesterday morning. Well, I'd like to pay my own special tribute, and I'm sure you'd be very interested in knowing a bit more about Philip. Most of us didn't know that much about him, really. We knew he supported the Queen, we knew he was quite a humble man, he used to be quite friendly, spoke to a lot of people, and had a very active career and service, as well as duty to the Queen. Well, I found out more in the last 24 hours or so, since the death was publicised and announced around about 12 o'clock yesterday, which was the 9th of April. Prince Philip had a tough upbringing. His family were taken into exile in Greece, and he, I think he was about 7 or 8. His mother was very unwell as well. And he went to school in France, Germany, and then Scotland at Gordonstoun. He met the Queen originally, I think it was in 1934, but there was no communication. He saw her again, or certainly started writing to her in 1939. Anybody interested in the history? And eventually they got married after the war in 1947. Well, Prince Philip was born on the 10th of June 1921 in Greece, to a Danish and Greek family. And you say married Queen in November 1947. Well, there we are. The family were exiled when Philip was 18 months old. He joined the Royal Navy in 1939, and he corresponded with a 13-year-old Queen at the time, whom he first met in 1934. So a few years went by before he started communicating with her. Well, before engagement to Elizabeth in July 1947, he abandoned his Greek and Danish titles and became a naturalised British subject. He adopted his grandparents' surname of Mountbatten. He married Elizabeth on the 20th of November 1947. And actually the next year, about a year later, November 1948, Prince Charles was born. Well, the Queen Consort was very much a man of duty and service, serving Her Majesty. And he was also became many patrons to various charities and matters of his own interest and dear to his own heart, such as the Worldwide Fund for Nature and the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, promoting young people over the years, science, technology, and other interests as well. I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. He was definitely pragmatic, and certainly he was charismatic and certainly a driven man, and had to carve out his own role within the royal family at a time when perhaps a woman, normally a man, would be the head of the house. Well, of course, he was the Queen's husband and she was the Queen. So totally different times, 50s and 60s, a lot of things were very different times, and he took a while to be accepted, certainly in the royal household, shall we say. He was interested in art, and also he had so many interests, and there's so much been mentioned on the media over the last sort of 12, 14 hours about his love of art and the things he did without any recognition at all, such as taking it on to restore Windsor Castle at a time great sadness for the Queen in 1992 when the big fire took place. He was also interested in climate matters and matters of the environment and conservation. Of course, all those things weren't really taken seriously back in the 50s and 60s. As our dear own David Attenborough, who's reported on this for many years, has identified that things weren't taken seriously in the 60s, especially with plastic. But there we are. The Prince was ahead of his time on so many things. And went to Africa many times. Animal preservation and forestry. It's all influenced the princes, Charles, down to William and Harry. Very down to earth man, very much a man of attention to detail, and humanity and support to the Queen there, and the Commonwealth of 2.4 billion people. Very interested in science and the environment, as I say. Young people life skills with the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, which is in about 140 countries as well, and also a Christian, certainly very much a focused Christian, like his wife, the Queen, and also believes in evolution. Family man, very much tried to support his children after his own sorrows and sadness in his own growing up, and his grandchildren also. I think he tried to help Diana out at the time when she was going through a lot of sorrows with Prince Charles back in the 1990s. Very sad time with a lot of change going on in the royal family throughout the 1990s. He lost his own childhood. He was also a Ranger of Windsor. I certainly didn't know that. And he did 22,000 engagements worldwide over the years. So some people might say, well, he could teach Meghan and Harry a thing or two there. 22,000 engagements. There we are, had a distinguished armed forces career there, which he had to give up to serve the Queen. And certainly he was an extrovert, he was very conservative, and supported many charities and other causes dear to his heart. And the Queen said he was her strength and stay. There we are. And all these things, a lot of these things were revolutionary in the 50s and 60s. Talking about the environment in the 60s as well. I don't think hasn't really been talked about much before about the 1980s. And a lot of things didn't really change till the 1990s. So he certainly had a heart for these things, and just shows how important it was back then even to think about it, and perhaps we could have avoided some other things that have happened in the world and the resources we've used up and damage that's been caused by human greed. Well, there's a lot of work going on in the Commonwealth, which the Queen and Prince Philip have both supported all their lives. It serves a duty to the Commonwealth, working together to support various common causes and peace. In 1952, after reaching the rank of commander, Prince Philip left an active military service after Princess Elizabeth became Queen. They had 4 children over the years: Charles, Anne, Andrew, then in the, I think it was late 60s, Edward. Most of you know the history has gone on since then. Some of us have been quite sad for the royal couple there, with divorces and everything else. Perhaps some people say, in fact, Prince Philip did say, it's a family and you expect challenges in the family. There we are. Trials and tribulations of bringing up children. There we are. But he did say, I think it was the 50th or 60th anniversary, to both tolerate one another and accept one another for who they are is a happy marriage. That's what he said on camera. Philip was interested in polo. He interacted with various sports, certainly played polo for many years until about the 1970s. Cricket, he was interested in. He also played it when in his younger years. Carriage driving, he actually drove carriages until his 90s. There we are. And also painting with oils. He was a good artist as well. I think he even did a print which nobody ever knew about. It was only mentioned yesterday for after the fire. Probably to replace one that got ruined in the chapel at Windsor Castle. So another sad time for them there. And apparently there's not really... Of course, you can go in Windsor Castle, but there's not really any way of telling it was his. Now, I've been in there, I've not seen it. The restored chapel, I think there's a small P on it. So the BBC were saying, I believe. Well, he became a patron of many charities, as I was saying, and carved out a role for himself as well as supporting the Queen in her constitutional role, devoting time to various causes such as the World Wildlife Fund. I think he was the president of that, certainly. A lot of work abroad and everything else, and certainly gave it a big boost there with at the helm, and a lot of work there. And certainly I know the World Wildlife Fund, I used to have their diaries, and promotion and protection of various species in the world, perhaps those that are threatened. And didn't know that about Prince Philip. So conservation, developing of young people with the Duke of Edinburgh's award. There we are, bronze, silver and gold. And all about going out on expeditions, doing charity work and other things to growing self-confidence and prepare yourself for the modern world, and perhaps focusing on integration with other people and getting ready for the working world. Well, Philip, as a royalist, I find him very interesting, seeing him on television. Never met him personally, very sadly, although my first royal event was in 1994 when the Queen handed out Maundy money on Maundy Thursday. That was 1994, and I saw them greeting crowds. That's Prince Philip and the Queen. Moving on from that, I went to London when Princess Diana died. Very sad time. I saw the flowers and everything else. And then I saw the Queen Mother in 2002 lying in state when she died. I've met Prince Charles face to face, and I've met Camilla at 2 different times face to face to say hello. It's a very sad time for them all, and do hope you'll be with me and praying and thinking about them. The next week can be very tough, and obviously we've got the pandemic as well, so most people won't be able to socialise, and of course the world heads of state, world leaders will not be able to come for a funeral because of the pandemic restrictions and flight restrictions, etc., and the safety of everybody. So I expect it will be online, so hopefully there'll be a memorial service later in the year. Well, I hope this helps you know more about the formidable Prince Philip, and I do hope you join with me in paying tribute to the wonderful man and all he's done for this country and abroad, with the influences, with charity work, and other people who've had various interviews on the television and radio to pay tribute to Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. And certainly he was a very popular man, and certainly enjoyed a laugh as well. He even made some wine, I'm told, and the Queen served it when they had banquet. Anyway, God bless you. Thank you for listening. And I do ask you to think about the royal family at this time. Thank you very much. God bless you.